Hey, how about you, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Live Recruiting Show. I am your host, Jeffrey Lee, Senior Recruiting Editor for Auburn Live on 3. Today is Wednesday, June the 18th, 2025. For you, it is Tuesday evening, June 17th, same year, 2025 for us. Keep that in mind moving forward, as we will, as we do always, mess around with some todays, tomorrows, and yesterdays. Fantastic show for you tonight, man. We're going to be wrapping up the OV season for Auburn. Auburn brought in approximately 50 official visitors in the past month. Midweek visits every weekend. The dead period begins in 8 days or 7 days. So a little more than 2 month dead period, going to turn into commitment season. See how Auburn fares over the next 2 months before we get to flip season. All right, we're going to talk. OVs. We're going to talk other recruits that Auburn's in on that have either planned visits, planned announcements, schedule announcement dates, and so forth. Here to do it with me, as they always are, Cole Pinkston's here 100% of the time this week. Can't say the same for Mr. Allen Hammond. How about you? How about you, boys?
How about you guys, man? Look, I'm to show you how committed I am, Mr. Jeffrey Lee. I am in my childhood bedroom right now, back in Elba, Alabama, doing this. No microphone. We're raw. Didn't even know we were hopping on the air till about 5 minutes ago, but I'm here.
Road dog.
We're going to get some real authentic takes tonight.
All right.
Feels like old time. It feels like old
man.
time.
No fancy mic, no fancy boom.
No, y'all remember when we started this? I was doing this like off my iPad, so the quality is terrible.
Can you do the background?
Oh, I don't think I can. I don't have a green screen back behind me.
Do you usually use a green screen
for the background? Yes.
No kidding. You know, I bought one. As long as you have a solid color, it works. I don't know. It doesn't matter. We love seeing that. Right? We love seeing that ceiling fan. It's older than you.
I know you do, man. It's from 1985. My ceiling fan's older than Cole.
Got that wicker, those wicker blades.
Yeah, dog.
Hey, I'll tell you something about one of those ceiling fans, though. They put off some air, son. They work.
Listen. Full disclosure: the way I upgraded my ceiling fans, our neighbor put hers out to the curb, and I went and got them.
One man's trash.
Hell yeah, dude, they were like 2017. I was like, hell yeah, big timing.
Bring them in, baby.
Oh, all right. Before we get talking about recruiting, keep in mind what I'm wearing. You know, I'm rocking that Q-zip from Roback. If you're not familiar with Roback, there's only one way to describe it. Best fit and best feel. For those who aren't familiar with Roback, they're completely changing the game with their incredibly comfortable activewear. Roback has released so many items within their new licensed game day collection, and it's our favorite, me and the rat in my pocket, with novel polo designs and clean hoodie and Q-zip designs for some of your favorite schools, including Auburn. It's definitely worth checking out. Nobody else in the market is pairing these level of custom designs with this quality of activewear. Roback's everyday shorts or their Delta Performance pants. Oh, they got them pants, man. For you golfers, you need to check them out. Are the perfect pairing as well. They're both super comfortable, having an elastic waistband, great fabric that is made to have the appearance of a nice short look, but the comfort for a day on the move. Roback has also been proudly leading the NIL charge, having signed partnerships with multiple college football stars, past and present, and are becoming the go-to brand for college athletes across the country. Use the promo code AUBURN20, AUBURN20 on Roback.com for a generous 20% off all new customers. That's spelled RHOBACK.com, 20% off for all performance polos, shorts, and more with the promo code AUBURN20. How'd I do? Roback, man, we love it. Go check it out. Absolutely, go check it out. Let's see, fellas. Let's get right to it, man. Auburn had, let me get this pulled up. Auburn had 6 official visitors over the weekend. That's right after they had 5 for midweeks. Let's see. Okay, so this past weekend, man, there are a lot of 5-stars. Had 3 of them, actually. Cedarian Morgan, Braylon Womack, Xavier Crowell, and 3 Auburn commitments in Devin Carter, Shadarius Tootle, and Denarius Gray. Now, when I went on Josh Newberg's show on Sunday, obviously the 5-stars were the lead, and nothing mentioned about Tootle. And I'm going to tell you, fellas, I thought that was one of the bigger storylines, if not the biggest storyline of the day.
Yeah. I'd say
I couldn't agree with you more. You guys were there, and I think Cole needs to talk on this more than I do, but we all had questions, right? Do they want Shadarius Tootle in this class? And if they do, they need to roll out the red carpet and ensure that he understands his importance in this class and how they project him to fit within the defense and what DJ Durkin's plan is. Because to the best of my knowledge and my intel, Georgia did a phenomenal job of establishing his role as an off-the-ball linebacker that could also be a hybrid edge. And how was Auburn going to counter that? And how much Georgia valued him in the class. Would Auburn match that level of intensity and roll out the red carpet? And judging by your reporting, who I trust you both more than anyone in the game, they absolutely did that, made him feel wanted. And his quote at the end was, Auburn is now number one again. And I thought that was, if you're going to take 3 linebackers in this class, I don't think we know exactly who the dime or the wheel is going to be just yet, but this was a big piece to shore up in your class. If Tootle's who they wanted, and I think that it is.
Did you see that he said they're recruiting me to play the middle?
I did. I saw it, and he's probably, Cole and I had talked about this. He's that athletic Mike, maybe not necessarily that run stuffer, that downhill Elijah Melendez type, but an athletic Mike that's good sideline to sideline that's going to transform himself into that. He's just kind of more of a raw athlete right now. I think he's still learning to play the linebacker position. But definitely a lot of clay there. And you got to love the frame. I mean, he's every bit of 6'3", 220 plus, gonna probably play at what you would think 240, Cole.
Yeah, he could for sure.
I mean, they probably want to keep him in that 230 range if they can. But I mean, he's got the kind of body, just like JJ Falk, where he could add weight in a significant way.
Yeah.
And I think he does have that kind of versatility, like Georgia talked about with him, of playing him off the edge, some specifically in sub packages, where you're trying to get more speed on the field. So a lot there to like to me about Shadarius Tootle, but I was really, really glad to hear where he was on the board for Auburn, that they did what we thought they might do. I think we all had discussed, okay, we think they really want Shadarius in this class, but let's wait to see what the feedback coming in is out of the OB.
Jermichael Garrett finally decommitted. We've been expecting that for months now, it feels like, and I kind of feel like we did our best in relaying that to our members of Auburn Live on 3. Cole, do you think the ideal and most realistic linebacker class includes Tootle, Jaquez Wilkes, and Adam Balagoon Ali?
I think, as of right now, that seems to be the most plausible.
Yeah.
Definitely, we always wondered what, like Alan was saying, what's going to be the deal with Tootle. I feel like this staff doesn't take commitments they don't want, and I know that it was more of a mutual parting of ways with Jermichael Garrett. But look, when they took his commitment, they wanted him.
Was that Aldridge though?
Yes,
it was. It was Aldridge. I mean, obviously Durkin. I think he was was he around when that?
Durkin was. He co-signed on it, but I think that was more Josh's guy, right?
Yeah, but you down the road, it's been almost a year, if not a year, since that commitment. They monitor it. They reevaluate. That's going to happen. So I wondered what the reevaluation was of Tootle after they take his commitment in July of last year, Big Cat. And all signs point to Auburn is absolutely trying to close the door on Georgia, just like it did with Joe Phillips and Eric Winters. And I think we compared this. Mm-hmm. We compared this recruitment to those. So,
and he's going to announce. I think you know how these kids are now. It's commitment season, then it's shutting it down season.
Yeah,
I think he's going to have a shut it down moment, either with Auburn or he's going to flip to Georgia. And I would say, I think either later this week or early next week, he's planning to make some type of decision, make some type of announcement.
Yes,
and as I feel fantastic about Auburn's chances of keeping him.
I want to ask y'all this. I posted this on the board today. Obviously, flip season's coming. Auburn's going to have to flip. They got no choice. They're going to be in that position with a lot of guys if they want to get the guys that they really want. Well, and we've talked about how commitments don't quite – it's not exactly what it used to be. Let's just be fair and honest about that. But in Auburn's situation – y'all would still this is the way I feel. Would y'all still rather be in the position of committed and fighting to keep or fighting to flip? I mean, I feel like Auburn does a great job with guys that it gets committed in its class.
Sure.
It's the same with roster retention. Like, they're not losing guys off the roster that they don't want to lose. I look at commitments the same way, especially with rev sharing and how the money is these days.
Sure. And Jeffrey's probably going to have better insight than me on this, but to me, it really probably depends on the kid of whether or not I'd rather have them committed, because there are some that honestly, they do shut their recruitment down to a degree. I mean, I think they leave options open, and we'll talk about one of those in Braylon Womack. And I honestly believe when whoever he commits to on August 22nd, his intention will be to sign with that team, so long as there's not a head coaching change. That said, I think Auburn has to build a certain level of momentum in this class. You've got to add between 5 and 7 players so you're not so far behind. And I think that's the point you're trying to drive home, Cole, is
it is.
You're going to lose some. But can you get to that 14, 15 number so the amount that you're trying to flip down the stretch is more manageable?
Yes.
Trying to flip 11 or 12 kids down the stretch, that's hard, man. If you're in that 7 to 8 range, that's much more doable, in my opinion, with the amount of focus and attention you're going to have to put on them late down the stretch. It won't all just be money. Coaches, while they're also trying to win games, are going to have to dedicate time to recruiting and making sure that they're continuing to build those relationships and keep kids interested in Auburn. And do you really want to be in that position when the season is so pivotal to Auburn's overall success and its recruiting pitch?
See, this is uncharted territory for the staff. They've been able to secure commitments. Their foundational class, the foundation of each class, they've been able to do that before the season starts. Now, it's still, believe it or not, man, it's still early. Like, even for Auburn commitment list, if you go back, they don't start really adding commitments until late July the past couple of years. Right. You're looking at late July when they really start to put the majority of the nucleus of the class together, and then you're adding pieces down the stretch. This is different right now because so many of these kids have moved up their announcements. Now they're not waiting until the end of July. That's what it is. And then Auburn, and we've said this for months, I feel like, this is a different game. They're no longer selling future. They're no longer selling playing time and hope and what we're building here. They've got to have some what do you call it, Alan?
We got to have
concept.
Yeah.
Got to have some win. This is a different year. That's why and we know that they can flip. They flipped last year alone. Deuce Knight. I'm just going down through here. Deuce Knight. Did Donovan Starr, didn't they flip him from Vandy or somewhere?
No, he almost flipped to Vandy late.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
That was another one, by the way. It looked awful for Auburn. Maybe the last, 2 or 3 weeks of that recruitment, all of a sudden, Auburn says, nope, we want Donovan Starr. We're going to keep him. We intend to keep him. And again, I love the retention rate. It's much better than it's a much higher hit rate than the flip percentage.
No, I agree. And here's the thing with Donovan, who knows if Auburn were to land Naheem Alford down the stretch, how that recruitment would have shaken out. But it shows you what this staff is capable of in a very short period of time. Because I'll be honest, when we were there on National Signing Day, my thought was Donovan Starr was not going to sign with Auburn. I thought Naheem Alford going into the morning would commit to Auburn, Donovan Starr would flip elsewhere, but that staff made a determination that morning, we want Donovan Starr, and they locked him in.
Let's see. Also, visit. So, anyways, Toodle's supposed to make an announcement here in the next week. We'll say to be safe. I feel good about Auburn there. Sedarian Morgan, Braylon Womack, both of those guys, Xavier Crowell, all three of those guys are set to announce in the next 2 months. Sedarian Morgan, July the 2nd. I think EJ is going to do it June 25th, like 2 days after he gets back from Bama. And then Braylon Womack, August 22nd. Nothing has changed as far as the in-state kids with Sedarian Morgan and Xavier Crowell. Although, I don't get the feeling Auburn's in the long game with Xavier Crowell. I don't think he's in this class. I don't see that happening. Sedarian Morgan, I see him staying very engaged with Auburn throughout the season.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And making that final push in early or late November, early December. And it's going to be one of those, is he going to flip? Is he going to flip? Is he going to flip? Maybe, it's going to be one of those with Sedarian Morgan. Braylon Womack, who had a fantastic interview. If you haven't read the story, go check it out on Auburn Live on 3. He's so mature. And he's handling this so well. I mean, he's so grounded. His parents are fantastic.
Yeah,
and you can see it in him and his interviews and the way he words things. And he's going to Ohio State this weekend. But as we said, he's already been in Florida. Shit, man, I don't count Florida for nobody right now.
No,
they're hot. They're hot.
And I'll
make a point about that later.
Yeah. So the thing Cole and I discovered Sunday night was that, Alan, tell us what we're missing here. Ohio State, according to the commitment list, has 3 safeties committed already. Are we looking at that as one of them a corner and he's listed as a safety? Do you know anything about that?
So I took a look at it, and I think all 3 of those are true back end pieces. Like those are safeties that you're going to play with boundary in the field. Braylon Womack might fit best at the star in Auburn's defense. And I don't know what Ohio State calls it within their defense. It would probably be the nickel. But he's a guy with a lot of versatility. And if you're talking about Auburn and the sales pitch to him, because Cole and I have discussed this, offline, is if you had Eric Winters in the last class and you had Anquan Fagans, how much did you need to chase one of these 5-star safeties that Auburn has really prioritized? Well, Braylon Womack, you can fit all 3 of those on the field at the same time because Braylon is an absolute, just perfect fit at the star position and someone that's tailor-made to be able to match up in the slot on small, shifty wide receivers, also extremely physical in the run game, can play bigger tight ends, just so much you can do with him. And again, you talk about the intelligence and football IQ. It jumps off the page. And I think that's where TJ Rushing, who's kind of an intellectual recruiter, like if you've ever talked to TJ or heard his interviews, you can quickly tell that Stanford degree was not wasted on him. Just a brilliant mind, somebody that knows what DJ Durkin wants in the defensive prospect in the backfield. And Braylon Womack is a huge target for them. Can they pull it off? I don't know. I think I would still, even given everything going on right now, I would still favor Ohio State. But as we get closer to August 22nd, this is one that Auburn's going to have to play this right. But I think the hometown advantage, the sister being at Auburn, the immediate playing time. Now, the pitch to him at Ohio State will be come be a part of winning national championships here, right? Come be a part of, be the next Caleb Downs. Auburn's not selling him on that. They're selling him on being the next Braylon Womack and come help us win this championship. Make your legacy here. Be the first-round draft pick at this star position and show everybody what you're capable of doing here at Auburn and set the mold for everybody else. So it's a contrast of be a part of the upstart or be a part of the team that has just won a national championship. And it will be difficult, but I do think the hometown draw, I think the sister being there, this isn't a kid, in my opinion, that's chasing money. I think he's thinking 5 moves down the chessboard. I honestly believe that. And all the information I have says he's thinking long-term, not short-term. So this isn't going to be one where NIL is going to be the ultimate factor for him. It's going to be development. It's going to be relationships. It's going to be what do him and his parents want. I believe his parents are going to be a big part of this. I do. I think the family draw is going to be a part of this. So this is one, while I would still favor Ohio State slightly today, it gets more, the closer we get to August, the more interesting this one gets, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm torn on him. I want to give Auburn the edge. And I might as of today, but again, ask me Sunday afternoon, Monday morning, and who knows what it says. But I mean, I really liked everything he said, how he said it, just the way he was vibing with everybody Sunday afternoon. I walked out of there feeling pretty damn good about Auburn's chances. Not that Auburn was going to get him, but I mean, it was like, okay, this is for real. Like I thought it might be, but now I know it is.
In my opinion, Auburn's in the top 2. And I think we could say that about several kids that are getting ready to make a decision. The question is, and Cole's asked this question to the board and to us privately, but can Auburn close these guys? You've made it to the top 2. Now, there's been several recruitments where they've made decisions and Auburn was like in the top group, but they were 3 or 4, right? We're coming up on several decisions that are going to be made where Auburn's in the top 2, and how many of those guys can you land going into the season? And I think that is very important about getting certain commitments. If you're that high on the pecking order, you got to close, man. At some level, you got to close.
Let's see. Devin Carter, I thought, was another big one. Devin Carter went to his daddy's a legacy there at Florida State. Was a stud back in I think the late '80s for Florida State. And Devin Carter visited FSU last weekend. Walked away from that. If you're an FSU fan, you read his update after the FSU visit, and you're feeling pretty damn good. If you're an Auburn fan, you read that update, you're a little concerned. And then a week later, he comes to Auburn, and he squashes all that. Now, we know some of these kids know how to say it and what to say.
Mm-hmm.
I felt he was being very genuine, and he didn't mince words. It wasn't like, you know what? Yeah, I feel better about my committee. He was like, this is home. I knew this was home in January. I knew this was home after I left Florida State. I know it's home today. I'm recruiting Landon Duckworth. I think we're going to get him. These are just several of the things that he said. And the relationship there with Marcus Davis, Hugh Freeze, and the same could be said for Denarius Gray, who's been to Kentucky and Washington, and NC State, and didn't get the same vibe from him as I did Devin. Denarius is kind of
he's hard to read.
He's reserved. He's very monotone.
Yeah.
He doesn't show a lot of emotion, passion in his speech. But so those two guys, in addition to Tootle, were the commitments, and I walked away from feeling really good about all three of those guys.
Devin Carter's thing, and this is part of him being the son of an NFL player, the son of a guy who was a coach in Dexter Carter. I remember when I first got the hint or the clue that Devin Carter's really considering Auburn was after he watched a game that Auburn lost, but put up a lot of numbers in the passing game. He took away that night. He said, I remember him telling us, wow, that offense, that's what I'm into. I'm looking for something like that. I still think he feels really good about Auburn's offense. Florida State did itself no favors with the way it was on the field a year ago.
No.
But this season is going to be a big deal for Devin Carter. I think he is very interested and pays attention to that, maybe more than other recruits do. Again, this is a coach's son, former NFL player's son. He knows the game, which is why I love him. I'm such a big Devin Carter fan. I think he's going to be fantastic in college.
He's really good.
He's good. He's good. But that's how he looks at it.
Yeah. You think about the versatility that Devin brings as well. A guy you can play inside, a guy you can play outside. Just you can basically line him up and try to create a matchup, put him in motion, whatever you want to do. I do think, and I kind of asked around on him because my fear was that he's a legacy at Florida State. Florida State is going to prioritize him in a way that's going to be hard for him to say no.
Yeah.
But I also wondered if the father was going to apply any pressure to this recruitment. And the feedback I got was absolutely not. He is in support of Devin picking what is in his best interest. And while I don't want to disparage any coach, if I'm Hugh Freeze, I'm basically saying, laying it out to Devin Carter, do you want to play in my offense where I put multiple first and second round draft picks into the NFL, or do you want to play in my good friend Gus Malzahn's offense, who, for lack of a better words, has not had the same level of success that I've had? I think I'm trying to put it delicately there.
Well, even still, if it was a running back, I would be more concerned. But Gus runs the damn ball. Don't get me wrong.
He does.
And I would find it hard to believe Hugh Freeze could beat Gus Malzahn for a running back.
He lost to him last year over a running back, but this is a receiver, right?
Right, exactly. Hugh Freeze has got the track record for wide receivers.
Jeffrey, I have I wanted to share. I got my screen sharing. If you want to see this,
yeah,
what Dexter Carter tweeted out. This is the dad of Devin Carter.
Oh,
the official. He tweeted out the official visit list. He said, yes, Auburn is home, but we have to follow through with the process. For the next 5 weeks, Devin will have official visits beginning this weekend with Georgia, then Florida State, Auburn, North Carolina, and Florida. And, moments like these don't come every day. So he was he was pretty straightforward just in public. I thought that was an interesting tweet. I remember seeing it when it came through, and I thought, that's a great way to go about it, honestly.
Yeah.
And that's why when Devin talks to us, it seems so genuine, right? because they do put that out. They get out in front of things like that, I guess you would say. They know how to handle this. And I don't think he's playing games. I think when they talk about their interest in Florida State, it's real. They do have it. Florida State's, fighting for him. And that's going to be the case until December, whenever signing day is. It ain't going to stop. And he says the right things right now, and I believe him, but I also believe that Florida State has strong pull, like Alan was saying too. So, I just thought that tweet was interesting when he put that out and made it clear. Look, Auburn's home, but we're going to follow through with this process. We'll make sure we make it right.
Auburn also had a handful of guys come in midweek last week, led by 5-star tight end Caden Prothro and some DBs. Danny Odom, Craig Tutt, Devontae Anderson, TJ Umanura, who has since committed to Michigan State. So we'll concentrate on the 4 that have yet to commit. Caden Prothro went to Florida right after that Auburn visit. He left Auburn. He said Auburn's number 2 behind Georgia, which surprised nobody. And then he went to Florida and said Florida's number 2 behind Georgia. So looks like that's kind of fallen down. I'm ready to move on from him. I don't think Auburn will move on. They'll continue to try and hope something happens with Georgia. But if not, that's done. The 3 defensive backs, Danny Odom, Craig Tutt, didn't get warm and fuzzies from either of those 2 guys. Now, Devontae Anderson, who I hadn't really heard much about until he came for his official visit, but he left with Auburn at number 1. Were y'all aware of this cat?
Yeah, aware of, yes. Didn't I think for me, I didn't know where he sat on the board. But Cole, you probably have more intel than I do on this one.
Yeah, I'm still not 100% sure. I think Auburn can definitely have him if it wants him. I'm just trying to decide if that's the case. And he had other official visits, Jeffrey, and trying to think who it was.
Let me get down here to this visit list.
Miami,
Rutgers,
Maryland, Michigan State.
Maryland and Miami. I don't think he's taking the one to Michigan State. I think Maryland, Miami are the next 2 on his list, and he should be taking that Miami visit this weekend and be done.
Yeah, they've got Michigan State, Miami same weekend. He's not going to Michigan State.
Yeah, he didn't. He named 2, and it was Miami and Maryland. So those 2, he's taking one to Maryland, Miami. Obviously, if Miami wants him, then you got to watch out for that, being where he's from, Winter Garden, Florida. But he named Auburn number 1. Had no problem saying that. He's interesting. I really like his film. He's a hard hitter. I like DBs like that, sort of a throwback. Bigger. He's a pretty big guy. Jeffrey, I thought for a DB, got a good frame. Probably going to be weighing in the 200-pound range. I think he's a safety. He told his corner. I thought that was interesting. So we'll see. I don't know enough about him yet, to be honest.
Okay.
Hey, I'm ready to run down this list of these 10 or 11 guys. Cole's making a move for whatever lead. Before we do, though, I meant to add this as a little sidebar on Jermichael Garrett. We talked about him decommitting from Auburn. He's going to Miami, but did you see what he's going to do while he's down there? He's going to camp. He's going to camp. So if that doesn't tell you, like, they need to see him. They need to see more of him.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You don't invite somebody to camp, Malcolm Simmons, Bryce Kane, unless you want to be sure before you offer to take.
Sure.
And he'll camp well because he's an athlete. He's a very good athlete. Definitely on the smaller side for linebacker.
And here's a little tip for those who are freaking out about Jermichael Garrett. I wanted to say this too. Auburn didn't even bring him in for an official visit.
Yeah.
Okay. They didn't even bring him in for an official visit. If that's not telling, I don't know what, people were, how they are. But anyway, that Jermichael Garrett, I love Jermichael Garrett.
Yeah.
Love him. Fantastic kid. Love him. Wish he'd have came to Auburn High and just kind of settled in, but whatever. Yeah. Go be great, young man. I love the kid. Hope he does really well wherever he goes.
I wanted to see him at Auburn High. I think he would have been fantastic there.
Me too.
Anyway,
but yeah, Cole. Let's play whatever. What were our options here?
Yeah, so I got 2 things for you. So pull up the OV list there, and then we'll just run down it. Your options are not feeling it.
Okay,
just not feeling it. made a move for, or potentially in the lead for. Auburn is potentially in the lead for. That's your 3 categories.
Made a move, not feeling it. Auburn might lead. Okay.
All right. So start at the top. C.D. Morgan.
Not feeling it.
I'm not feeling it short term, but I do feel like Auburn made a move for their long term play.
Well
I agree
put.
with that.
Well put. Go ahead, Cole.
I would put him in that middle category, I think.
Yeah, and let me rephrase. I agree with the exact way that Jeffrey put it. I think in my mind, it was not feeling it for July. Like, I don't think Auburn is under consideration for July at all.
No, I don't either.
In fact, if I were picking a second team, it might be Florida or Colorado to Alabama right now.
And the way a lot of commitments go to Allen is he wouldn't take those official visits. Now, we've been thinking, and the intel points towards him picking Alabama all this time. And he will. Yeah, I think he will pick Alabama on whenever his date is, July 2nd. But you don't take all these OVs if you're not going to continue to consider those schools.
And I'll say this, and I don't know that he's going to do it on this one, but Deion has absolutely shown that he can load up on one kid, you know what I mean, and be able to pull that one off. He has done it for 4 straight consecutive years. It would not shock me if that happened. I think all I will say is, come July, I don't see him committing to Auburn, but I agree with you and Jeffrey. They have positioned themselves well for the long run and the potential flip, not eventual, potential, come National Signing Day.
Braylon Womack. I'm sorry, Cole, you can read.
No, you go ahead. It's your screen.
Well, the next one's up. It's Braylon Womack, right?
I'm leaning towards potentially in the lead for it. I'm going to tell you what's holding me up. Auburn's track record. Y'all know I love a track record. Track record with 5-star DBs.
Not good.
Horrible. They can't get one. They can't get it done with that.
They just landed one like 6 months ago.
Okay. You're right. But you know what I'm saying. I know Blake Woodby, right?
Yeah, Wanquan Fagans.
Fagans wasn't a 5. He was a high 4.
Shit, somebody had that wrong.
I think Blake Woodby was actually a 5 with ESPN.
Yeah.
No way. I don't even count him. I mean, I don't think that was.
But there's a lineage of these highly sought after 5-star DBs that Auburn has just not been able to win.
Damn, he was a 4-star.
Yeah.
Fagans, yeah.
Nobody had him a 5-star?
We thought he was a 5-star.
I mean, yeah. On mine, Cole scale, yes.
Oh, I know what it was. 24/7 had him 110. Of course, the Auburn drop by 24/7.
Dang it.
On 3 had him 93. They were leading the way for the major 3 networks. 93 on 3 had him the highest ranked. Didn't hear anybody talk about that one though. Yes.
Can y'all name all the
Charles Power somewhere is fist bumping like, got y'all.
Yeah.
Can y'all name all the 5-star DBs that Auburn was right there for?
Sure. I mean, we could do the ones in the Reese tenure.
KJ Bolden,
Naeem Alford. There's another one. Y'all remember Andrew Booth? That one came to mind.
Sure.
Yeah. What about Patterson down at had signed with Miami?
Yeah.
Patterson. How about AJ Harris?
Zaquan.
Yes. Yeah.
AJ Harris. Yeah. Blake Woodby was a 5-star ESPN number 15 overall recruit in the country.
Yes, my fault, Blake. Broke the curse with that. Maybe. We'll see.
But I am on Braylon Womack. I'm at the top with him.
Okay.
I'm taking the top one. Potentially leads 4.
I think I am too, but I'll also be honest about this. I got to see this rev sharing thing play out a little bit. I just don't know exactly what's going on with it yet.
I don't think rev share means much. Alan, correct me if I'm wrong. It just means that the NIL, the OTV, is not going to have to pay as much. It's not going to come out of their pocket as much.
I tend to agree. I think there are already coaches that are figuring out ways to skirt the system, if that makes sense. And not just coaches. Yeah. We're talking about front office people, the collectives, how they're going to do it. what deals NIL Go is going to accept, which ones they're going to reject. I think they're figuring out a way to kind of test the algorithm as far as what's acceptable, and they're going to find a way to layer that on the top. Now, I do think it'll be restrictive in some recruitments because they're going to have to be legitimate deals where kids are doing things to earn.
You're right. It's not going to be sent out a tweet by somebody who's got your password over here in the athletic department.
Correct. It's going to be more than that. So I think the work that these kids are going to have to do to earn the money will be more. But I'm with Jeffrey in that I think people are going to still figure out a way to layer legitimate NIL deals by way of this, clearinghouse to make sure that people are still compensated.
How is it possible? You heard CD Morgan talk about, and
that's exactly why I'm saying this, Jeffrey. I'm hung up on what he said right now. I'm just hung up on that a little bit.
How do you justify paying a high school, not even a senior, a monthly stipend for being on your commitment list? Like, how do you justify that?
Well, I think the workaround to that is, technically speaking, if they're not enrolled, they're not a part of your rev share. They would be an alternate NIL deal that they would have with a third party. And so they wouldn't count on the rev share until enrollment.
So different LLC from the university, right?
Correct. That's why I don't think that collectives will ultimately fall underneath the university. The more I ask that question, the more I think, even though they're going to become more like a marketing agency, I still think they're going to keep them exterior because of how they can be used, unless this, what are they calling the collective, I guess.
NIL Go?
It's not NIL Go. They have a name for the college something commission.
Oh, it's a CSC.
Yeah, the college football commission that's supposed to be overseeing this and ensuring. Like, I need to see how they're going to come down on some of the rules and restrictions first to see how they're going to enforce this before I can say, like, anybody's going to be scared. And then I have to also witness the first lawsuit that's going to happen and how that's going to be ruled on. So it's going to be interesting, but I don't think collectives are going to right now. I don't think they're going to go in-house the way people had envisioned until more or less kind of forced to do so, or more guidelines are rolled out, basically outlawing collectives. So that piece is going to be interesting, but that's how they're skirting it right now is, technically speaking, they're not on their rev share because they're not enrolled in a university, and it's through a third party.
Let me explain my concern to y'all. I think everybody will get it figured out. But this is a transition period. CD Morgan said it. He says it right here. I got your story pulled up right here, Jeffrey. He said, so like right now, everybody's kind of on hold because they don't really know a lot yet. That was a quote from Cedarian Morgan, which is exactly what we've been feeling like where Auburn is. Like, you're not exactly able to discuss deals. They can't figure out exactly how it's going to work yet. It's been passed, but how's it going to work? How are we going to make it work? We're not entirely sure.
But I don't think it matters.
The reason why I'm concerned is because it couldn't have hit Auburn at a worse time for a transition period.
You're still going to go to see Cedarian Morgan or any five-star recruit and go, listen, man, we're going to get you $250K a year for 3 years. Okay. And we're going to get you a car. We're going to put your mom up. Now, where that comes from is none of your business. It doesn't matter. So I can't tell you how much of it's going to come from rev share, and it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is you're going to get this. Now, let us worry about where it comes from. Like, is it going to come from OTV? Is it going to come from how much? 10% of it's going to come from rev share, and the rest of it, we're going to get you set up on NIL deals. Legitimate NIL deals.
I think the phrase Auburn's been using is, you'll be taken care of. Don't worry about that.
Sure, exactly.
Yes. And I think they believe that. I will agree with Cole that there's some ambiguity as far as how CFC is going to rule on things, and that may create some hesitation by Auburn to making a promise that they don't think that they can fulfill. because if they can't create the kind of legitimate NIL deal they think is going to go through the clearinghouse, then that's where maybe the issue comes in, because I think they know from a rev share standpoint how they can allocate funds. But the question is, who do we have to beat? What's the real number? And how much of a, like, what can OTV do to help us in a legitimate way land this? And I think they're still figuring that piece out, Jeffrey. But I'm with you right now. I think you tell them you're going to be taken care of, and this is going to be the baseline. And we're going to have to figure for your big dogs, right? Like,
right.
No offense, I'm not trying to knock anybody, but for Johnny 3-star, we're not having this same level of conversation, right? If this is what we can offer you from rev share, this is what you're going to get. We'll swing back on you with more money if we need to later on down the line.
I'm going to get Brett Whiteside. Let's get an update from Brett on one of these shows in the next week. During the dead period.
I need to learn. I'm just asking questions. I don't have answers here. But unfortunately, I know this. The problem with this world we live in here is it's not a what can you do for me down the road? It's what have you done for me lately?
Sure.
That's what this is. So the transition period has hit Auburn at a terrible time. And the problem is it's going to look so much worse before it gets better. It is going to get better. I'm afraid that it's just going to hit at this bad time when all these commitments are happening and guys are going, well, Auburn can't get me a straight number. Which it sounds like
they're going to get numbers.
By what Sedarian Morgan's saying, it sounds like nobody's able to do that right now.
It's the rev share portion.
Yeah,
it's we don't know because we got 20.5 to allocate. And we just learned this 2 weeks ago, and to me it doesn't matter. But that's the only portion that they can talk about. So that's the only they can't say hey they can go meet with OTV,
right?
But Auburn can only say we don't know right now.
Right. And I will be honest, I don't know if collectives know all of what they can do just yet either. I don't think CFC's rolled out clear guidance just yet as far as how restrictive they plan to be. I do know that there are staffs out there that are submitting deals to NIL Go presently as we speak. So
right. Hell, they were submitting them on June the 7th?
Yeah. As deals are being submitted, they're probably, it's a case-by-case basis, right? Like, let's get this, and submitted. And okay, if they cleared these, then we can do these for other guys, right? Like, we know these are good to go. So it's probably a little bit of touch and go. And until you get more time and space and know what exactly they're going to approve and not approve, it's going to be difficult. And does that change with each recruit? Because, again, we don't really know what makes up the algorithm of them making a determination of what is your market value. That's the biggest piece to me that is so fluid, is that how do you make that determination and what goes into that? And are you making that clear to kids that are trying to earn? Like, what is it about my market value? Is it just my amount of social media following? Are there other aspects to it? And I don't think people really know just yet. I haven't seen any story released, or I haven't been told anything from anybody within that space. So it's pretty unclear right now. So I get Cole's hesitation with it. And I think he's asking valid questions that I would love to have answers to.
I think me and Cole are frustrated because we just don't have any answers. Like,
well, no, this time last year we did. I mean, we knew when a recruitment was over. We knew when something was accepted, like a deal has been done. I don't get the sense that deals are even being discussed right now. So it's so different.
What do you mean? What do you mean deals?
Well, like I said, a hard number. It's like it was last year. They meet with OTV, they get an idea right from that meeting. I think they're leaving these meetings and going, well, I think I'll be taken care of, but I don't know exactly. But I don't know if that's happening anywhere. The problem is Auburn's in a situation where they've got to show it on the field. So everybody's going, well, we'll come back to that.
Yeah, I thought most.
That's what I meant by timing is just not good here. I think it'll get better, but it hit at a kind of rough time for Auburn was what I'm thinking. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does.
I want to get Brett on here so we can ask him all these questions.
Yeah,
because I can see a 5-star guy like Sedarian Morgan, Tristan Keys, Zion Ely, Ian Nacho. Like, if I'm a car dealership, I want them driving my cars. If I own a Toyota place, I want them driving my, my Tundra, my Tacoma. And surely that's you can justify that, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I promise you now, like if I'm a car dealership, it's not going to all be Dodge Chargers either. You know what I mean? There's going to be a variety of cars mixed into these packages.
Yeah.
But all right, let's get back to Cole's game.
It's turned into one of those.
It's probably my fault, but I have questions, man. I just do.
No, yeah, look, and I think Brett would be the person to ask, and/or, somebody affiliated with Auburn that may have more insight than us into this. But I'll do what I can on my end to see. But anyway,
all right, Braylon Womack, I'm at potentially leading for.
I think I'm there too.
I'm at made a move for, but I'm hedging my bet a little bit. I think there's a part of me that wants to say that, but I'm very wary of the Ohio State visit and them being the childhood favorite.
Yeah.
Okay.
Xavier Crowell?
Not feeling it.
Not feeling it.
Not even in the slightest.
And I don't really know why, but I just don't get a good feeling with that one for Auburn. Devin Carter?
Lead for.
Yeah. I'm going to go out on a limb and say
confident.
Tootle. Yeah, I am. I'm confident in all three of those guys.
Yeah, I'm confident that Auburn leads for all three. I'm confident that the schools that like them won't stop. Maybe I feel the best about Tootle right now.
Yeah. I do too. Yep. If I were ranking them, I would go Tootle 1. Shit. I feel like Devin Carter's going to be he's going to get the most pressure. Is why I'm hesitant to put him at 2.
I think I'm going to go with 2 just because of the emphasis Auburn's going to put on him.
Sure.
Especially with Marquez Daniel committing to Florida. Now, I think Auburn still has an opportunity to land Marquez.
Oh, he's not visiting anymore.
Yeah.
What it says.
Put that in air quotes.
Mm-hmm.
I love you, Keith, by the way. Great reporting down there, big dog. But
that's a headline for sure.
Oh, yeah.
It is. I mean, look, Keith's reporting what the kid said. That's a major headline. That is a major headline. And that's not me mocking Keith's work. Please don't anybody insinuate that. That's just me not believing what the kid says, period.
Right. Sure.
You know what I mean?
As I said,
great point of clarification. Right there.
I don't trust any of these kids who speak in absolutes at this point.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutes. That's not the way to do it.
No, but I think if you're Auburn, you have to land one of Marquez Daniel or Carter, because Jace Matthews, to me, is the third receiver in this class.
Yeah.
Like, as much as I know they love Sadarian Morgan, it doesn't matter how many kids are committed in this class, they're taking Sadarian Morgan. But right. I would not count him in my class as of today. And I do think Auburn's going to get Jace Matthews. And if they get Jace, you got to get a third. And I think Auburn is going to put all kinds of effort into landing Devin Carter.
That's the one position, receiver, where you do have more confidence because of what they've proven to do at it, what they're going to show on the field, what they've already shown on the field. There's a lot more prowess there than there are with all these other positions where I'm going, just not looking favorable at this time of year for a lot of them. Receiver's different. There's a world, an easy world I can see where Jace Matthews lands in this class. They get Carter, they hold on to Gray, and then they make this crazy run at Sadarian Morgan. That all makes sense to me.
I tell you what, in addition to that, I've also got some confidence in Marcus Davis. And I think if he lands the class we're talking about, when you marry that up or bake that in with the classes he's landed to this point at Auburn, he's on verge of being an elite recruiter, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And even looking at the room right now, it's great, but it's not a big room. I mean, they're going to lose Horatio Fields. They're going to lose Eric Singleton to the pros probably.
Yeah.
And then, assuming nobody transfers, you're left with Coleman, Simmons, Thompson, Kane, Derek Smith, Eric Smith. Am I missing somebody?
No, that would put you with 7 coming back. You sign if you get 3
Turner.
in this class. Yeah, Sam Turner. That puts you at 10, which is about the number you want to play with. I think 10 to 12 is what's ideal. They're short of that number right now, but there's a lot of quality in the room, which made it difficult, I think, to fill it out in the way from a number standpoint they wanted to.
I'm curious. I did the sting factor on Marquez Daniel on Auburn losing out to Florida there. I gave it a 5 out of 10. What would y'all give it out of 10?
4 or 5.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
So just about a medium.
Yeah. Perfectly said. Yes.
And I thought the biggest, I wrote this too. It doesn't affect your future receiver room too bad because you have commitments from Denarius Gray, Devin Carter. Those potentially could get shaky, so that's a problem. I think that gives you an extra point maybe. The optics I thought was the biggest hit with this. Just from people that don't study it like we do, they look at it and go, he's from Tuskegee, he's going to Florida, Yeah. So the optics hurt the most with that one, I would say.
I agree. And I think my number shifts if Devin Carter were to flip to Florida State.
Yeah, absolutely.
Marquez Daniel stings
7,
about an 8.5 or a 9 if Devin Carter flips. But having him come in this weekend and come out saying all the right things, to me, makes that a 4.5 or a 5. Like, it's not as big of a deal, especially with Jace Matthews left on the board. Now, if Jace Matthews again, isn't left on the board, significantly bigger deal. But you do have other options. And I think when we talk through other recruitments, next week, that's where it's going to sting if like a Dalton Toothman lands someplace else or something like that. Those are difficult because you're in the top 2 and you don't close. Where's your pivot?
Yeah.
We know where the pivot is on the receiver board.
Exactly.
I left Ernest Rankins in there. I thought we hit on him. He took an unofficial visit Thursday. I don't think he did an exit interview. Has since canceled his official visit to Georgia, according to Benjamin Wolk from 24/7 Georgia. Love me some Benjamin Wolk. But we saw that Tuesday, right? Was that what it was? What's
Thursday.
Today?
Yeah, I think.
No, Ben put it out there, I think, earlier Tuesday that Rankins was no longer visiting Georgia this coming up weekend. If that's the case.
Yeah. I mean, I mentioned when we talked about give us who you think Auburn lands in the DL class, that was the question. And I put Ernest in mine, and it was because I didn't know where he was on Georgia's board. And I think Georgia not bringing him in this weekend, and maybe it was the kids' call. Maybe I'm completely wrong about that. But I do think that there probably was a lack of mutual interest on both sides. And because of that, I think Auburn, the odds with him have gone up significantly. Probably Florida State is the chief competition, I think, in that recruitment, but I don't know that. And I do remember coming out of his Auburn visit that he said it was Auburn and Georgia at the top. Mm-hmm. Now, maybe that's changed. He has taken several visits. I don't know where all he's been. Jeffrey, do we have his visit list down there?
Let's see. Purdue?
He take an official to Purdue?
Let me see.
That's crazy.
Let's see. Auburn, Purdue.
Gary Odom doing big things, Cole.
Florida State.
Evidently.
And that Georgia.
Got a good one. And Braden Joyner.
Yeah. Somebody else, too, wasn't it? Like a DB or linebacker?
Yep. Florida State on June 6th. Auburn on May 16th. And I don't see – who's the other visit?
It says Purdue, but did he take it?
I don't know, man. That's crazy. That one.
Purdue holding a wave of top targets this weekend. Steve must have did that because he put on here that he was going to Purdue. Ernest Rankin. Well, either way, I don't give a shit about Purdue.
No, man.
I think Ernest Rankins took an Ohio State OV, did he not?
He was scheduled to. I don't know if he actually took it.
Okay.
This was this past weekend.
Okay.
But, yeah, he's on here. But that was before. So did he actually ever go?
And that's what I don't know. I know he went to Florida State. I know he went to Auburn. I think Florida State's the chief competition here.
Let me pull up my story from his OV right here.
Yeah, I was looking for that just now as well.
Next up is a visit to Georgia. He also will take official visit to Ohio State and Florida State. He hadn't set the dates at that time. He only had Auburn and Georgia scheduled when he left Auburn middle of May. He said he will take official visit to Ohio State and Florida State.
Right.
So there you go.
So then the question is, did he visit Ohio State, and how serious of a player is Ohio State if he did? And I don't know. Again, I tend to think this is Auburn, Florida State.
Yeah, makes sense.
I like Vontrell King Williams in that matchup, if that's the case. I think Ernest has a very interesting body type, which lends to him playing between 3-tech and 5-tech. He gives you some portability across the defensive line, and it would be a value pickup right now. I don't know that he's an immediate difference maker. I think he's a guy that's going to have to come in and probably go through a redshirt season, but a kid with a high upside and has the potential to be a starter for you at some point in his career. He's
Rivals.
Not,
I'm sorry. No, I was just going to say Rivals has him for a Purdue official visit, but no Ohio State visit.
Okay.
I don't know what 24/7 has him for. Let's see. I'm curious to know because before I make this pick, I want to know where he's visited and where he hasn't.
Jay Lee said he's not going to wing it like A-head over here. He's going to get all the intel.
Let's just compare. They've Auburn and Florida State is what 24/7 has him for. So no Purdue visit, no Ohio State visit, no Georgia visit. So Auburn, Florida State, right there.
Okay. I'm going to do the old Bill O'Reilly. F it, we're going to do it live.
Do it live. We'll do it live.
But anyway, I'm going to say potentially leads 4.
I'm going leads 4. I'm going leads 4.
I think you have to. I think you almost have to with that one.
Let's see, who else was there? Then you get down to the OVs from last week, Cole, the midweek guys. Caden Prothrow.
Yeah.
Caden Prothrow, not feeling it.
No, definitely not.
Nah. George is the constant there. I think we can put 2 and 2 together. Danny
Odom. I mean, they probably made a mood for it. It was his first visit to Auburn. Same for Tut. I think maybe both of them were the first visit. But
I think both are made a move for. Odom is interesting to me because I don't know who he's a take for right now. Is he a take at Ohio State? I don't know. I don't think he's a take at Florida.
Oklahoma, Auburn, Ohio State, Penn State, Nebraska. I think Nebraska was what we heard on him for some reason. Maybe
and
it
that would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, if you can make a move for a Danny Odom, let him commit to Nebraska because I think I can flip that one down the
Sure. Craig Tutt, I think he was. Is he committed to Tennessee?
No, but
Ole Miss and Tennessee.
I think Ole Miss might have.
Yeah, Ole Miss and Tennessee's his top 2.
I'm glad Auburn got an official visit in there because I really like him. I just don't know exactly what to do with him right now.
Cool dude, man. I talked to him and his dad. I wanted to know if he was any kin to Christian Tutt.
Oh, yeah, Christian Tutt, yeah. No.
And last one, Devontae Anderson.
Leads 4.
Absolutely.
Leads 4. I still wonder where he is on the board.
Yeah.
I don't have clear information on that. And I will say this. I know TJ Umanori committed to Michigan State. I think Auburn made a move on that one. I'm going to continue to watch that one. I get Colton Hood vibes for that kind of a recruitment. I think he's somebody that Auburn likes. I do. I think that's one. Keep your eye on that because I think Auburn could double back there as the season goes, as we get into the season.
Last thing I wanted to hit on a couple of O-line guys, Deron Parks, Wilson Zier, and Dalton Toothman. 3 guys that we heard, encouraging things for early in this official visit season. They all were early visitors. Cole, you're an O-line guru. What's the latest you've got on those 3 guys? Zier, Toothman, and Deron Parks?
I don't feel great about my Toothman pick right now for Auburn. I thought that was a slam dunk. As close to a slam dunk as it could be, and maybe Auburn pulls this one off, and maybe I'm misreading the situation, but the way I'm reading it right now is confidence is dropping a little bit at Auburn and picking up at Mississippi State, which the school that I was told it wasn't Clemson, it wasn't Florida State, it was Mississippi State. Got a strong fit there, and they're pushing. They've made him a priority, so would be a tough one to lose right here if Auburn can't get that one done. That would be a tough one because I thought that was as close to a slam dunk as you. It's why I put in the pick.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to monitor that pick real close.
How about Doodles?
Haven't heard much about him lately, but did he ever take that Ohio State visit?
He's taking it this weekend. I think he's going to Kentucky. Let me see. He's going to Kentucky today and then Ohio State this weekend.
Okay.
So my understanding on him is he canceled his Oklahoma visit because he had one to Oklahoma, got food poisoning and never made it to Kentucky. Did make it to Florida State. They did a good job. But this is a big week for Auburn in that recruitment. I don't put Kentucky as much of a factor. I don't. No offense, Mark Stoops. But I don't see them being a contender. And then my question with Ohio State is they've already got 4 offensive linemen in the class. How much do they want him? I think this comes down to Auburn, Florida State, in my opinion.
And I do think even if Ohio State wants Deron Parks, I think Auburn's going to have a shot, a legitimate shot. I'm not close enough to make like a prediction on it, but if we were playing the game, I think I might go with Auburn potentially in the lead 4 category.
Okay.
Where would y'all be on that?
I would say might be in the lead 4. Probably made a move 4, but it would depend on who it comes down to. Again, I just don't know where he is for Ohio State.
Yeah.
Wasn't he the dude who said like Auburn's in the top 3 and they're not 3?
No, that was Claude Puma.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who just took an OV to Florida.
Let me refresh my memory on his exit interview.
He said a lot of really great things about Auburn.
It's just different at Auburn.
Yeah.
It's a different place. It helped them a lot. They showed me a lot of stuff, a lot of good things. They kept it real with me. Auburn is Auburn. I don't want to put a date out, but I'll play the season committed so I can focus ball. At the time, he said Florida State, Oklahoma, Ohio State, and Kentucky. Those were his visits. All right. Well, last one, Cole Wilson.
Tough one to read because he's kind of shut down the interview process. I don't think he interviewed for others either, Jeffrey. He didn't do it with us.
I saw that.
Yeah. So he's kind of done with that. I want to say I have a pick in for Auburn. I want to say Auburn gets it done. There's so much pool there. Alabama's made a move. We know Georgia likes him. Michigan's involved, definitely. So,
all right. Let's just put it out there, okay? We talked about there being must-haves in this class. This is about as much of a must-have as you can get, in my opinion, from the variety of the optics on this. If you don't land him right now, look terrible. And I think it would be a really bad loss for Jake Thornton if that were to come to pass. And that's not me in any way trying to take a shot at Jake or anything like that. I'm just saying what it would be, in my opinion, is it would be a bad look for Jake. And it would be losing a kid that I think that you can't really afford to lose right now.
I agree. Jeffrey had to pop.
He had to put the jaw in for that one.
Settle it down a little bit. Before I stop, listen, we're gonna get to some how about you this week, man. I don't want to turn off my screen yet. I'm gonna share this page, man. I'm gonna dedicate this show and give him the soul. How about you, Jeffrey Lee's head buff and towel, man? R.I.P. Big Dog. I don't know if y'all know, he's a legend on the message board, and his wife came on the board Saturday and informed us that he had passed away.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. She was. She said, I'm just going to read this real quick. I'm the wife of the poster, is Jeffrey Lee's head buffing towel. I have no idea where that name came from or who Jeffrey Lee is. I'm sure it was chosen as a form of respect. I know how much time my husband, James, spent posting and reading this site. James loved life, but he loved Auburn more than anything. He graduated from Auburn in 1991, and it was always a part of his life. He was so excited during the basketball tournament this past year. He kept saying this team was going to win the national championship. No matter what else was going on any given day, if Auburn was playing, he was watching. James passed away yesterday in Las Vegas. He apparently had a brain aneurysm that we never knew about. I ask that you all please pray for peace for our family. I wish you all the best. War Eagle, Miss Jeffrey Lee's head buffing towel. So we're going to reserve all the how about yous this week for Jeffrey Lee's head buffing towel. Really enjoyed him as a member of the site. Appreciate his wife coming on and letting us know that. Definitely going to keep her in thoughts and prayers. But how about you, Jeffrey Lee's head buffing towel?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thoughts and prayers to you and your family. That's awful. That's tragic to hear.
Yeah, it is. It was rough to read too.
True legend. Really going to miss him. Really going to miss him. Appreciate the wife, and we'll keep her in thoughts and prayers. Let's end it there, fellas. We appreciate everybody listening. We appreciate everybody watching. For Cole, for Alan, for Zach in the back. Who stayed in the back? I'm Jeffrey Lee, man. Y'all stay at that left lane. See ya.